What's up, fuckers? Let's talk about gun control. It's been almost 2 years since I last made a video on the topic, and since then my views have basically taken a 180-degree turn, so I figured it's about time we discuss it again. So what should we do about gun control? What can we do about it? We could perform background checks on gun purchases, except, well, we already do that in most cases. We could do a psych evaluation. Well, again, we usually do. The problem is that it's just not very effective. I mean, unless the person has already done something crazy, it's very hard to determine whether or not they're mentally fit to own a firearm. We could keep firearms from felons and people convicted of violent crimes. Except we do. People with these charges on their record are not permitted to buy firearms, and that includes people who are suicidal. We could ban the sale of assault rifles and automatic weapons. But we already do. With the expensive and very rare exception of specific cases, nobody is permitted to buy an assault rifle. And contrary to popular belief, the AR-15 is not an assault rifle. The AR in AR-15 stands for Armalite Rifle, not assault rifle. It's semi-automatic. There's no burst fire or fully automatic fire available on the AR-15s purchased by civilians. In fact, it's no more effective than plenty of hunting rifles that nobody seems to have a problem with. So why do so many mass shooters use it? Well, honestly, it looks cool. These people want to be remembered, and it looks like something that you would see in the movies. The Ruger Mini 14 has the same ammunition, has the same rate of fire, and can hold just as many rounds, but this gun has wood on it, so it's okay. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter if these mass shooters are using a damn handgun. It's still a gun. If you get shot, you're gonna fucking die. Now, being that I'm currently living in Australia, I've heard a lot of people suggest that we just do the same thing they did. The problem is, even if I thought that were a good idea, it'd be impossible. First of all, we would need to amend the Constitution, which requires over 30 votes to pass, which means over 30 states would have to approve this change, and that's just not gonna happen. But just for the sake of argument, let's say it did pass. Australia's government did a buyback program where they purchased the now illegal weapons from their civilians. I mean, if they refused, they'd be arrested, but hey, at least they got something, right? So take however much they paid these civilians for each of their guns and multiply that by over 300 million. Because that's how many guns we have in our country. That comes out to roughly a fucking lot. We literally couldn't afford it even if we tried. Comparing America to Australia on these issues is apples to oranges. They already hardly had any guns to begin with, and their population is 12 times smaller than ours. Not to mention, we have an enormous black market for weapons in the US. Shit, I know a few people I could buy illegal firearms from, and I didn't even go looking for this shit. And if we actually banned as many guns as Australia has, that market would only increase. Now, for the record, even if we could follow Australia's example, I wouldn't suggest it. Australians can't even carry a knife or mace on them. So yeah, given the fact that their black market for guns is so minuscule, they don't have to worry about shootings. But their violent crime has increased since that weapons ban. And while we may have more shootings, believe it or not, our violent crime has actually decreased over the years. But I still haven't given any solutions as to what we should do about this. For starters, I think it's important to realize that almost all of these mass shootings occur in gun-free zones, and that's not a coincidence. These shooters know that if they open fire in one of these areas, nobody's gonna be able to defend themselves. And on the rare occasions that they do attack people in zones where they can be armed, oftentimes they get fucking shot. Take that church shooter in Texas recently, for example. So what about these school shootings? I hear a lot of liberals saying stuff like, why does this have to be a conservative versus liberal conversation? Can't we all just agree that kids shouldn't get shot? But what they're really saying is, why does this have to be a conservative versus liberal issue? Why can't everyone just agree with me? Pro-gun people do agree with you, they just disagree on how to achieve that. I don't think further regulation is the answer. I think if they had an armed security guard on site, and if they had metal detectors at the doors, this person would have been stopped. And hey, the FBI was already aware that this kid was a potential threat. What is the point of further regulation when the government has proved time and time again to be fucking incompetent? I just really don't understand the liberal mindset on this anymore. They don't trust cops. They think they're corrupt and racist, yet they think that they're the only ones who should have guns. Or maybe they just support stricter gun regulation. But in most cases, the regulations they're pushing for already exist. Why is it that almost all the people pushing further gun regulation know nothing about guns or our gun laws? And I'm really sick of hearing politicians and celebrities who protect themselves with armed guards telling us the same shit. it. Honestly, as far as regulations go, all I can say is that we better enforce the regulations that we already have. Also that we require proper gun training for anybody looking to purchase a firearm. And if you're going to have a gun-free zone, make for damn sure that a gun can't actually get inside. Everything else seems like a lost cause and would actually be more detrimental than anything. But that's not all. There's two other sides to this. One, we have a terrible stigma against people seeking treatment for their mental illnesses, particularly with men. And that carries into number two. All of these shooters are men. Why? Because they're told they're not supposed to cry. They're not supposed to talk about their emotions. They just bottle all of this shit up and combine that with too much testosterone, and you've got a recipe for disaster. Now, am I saying that that justifies their actions? Of course not. But what the fuck did you expect to happen? And why is it that when a cop kills an innocent person, we blame the cop? But when a civilian kills an innocent person, we blame the guns. Like I said, we have over 300 million guns in our country. We do not have 300 million shootings. Because most gun owners are responsible ones. And I think it's funny that the NRA is copying most of the shit for this, because they're the most responsible gun owners in the country. But I'm gonna end this with a quote paraphrasing Benjamin Franklin. "Those who would sacrifice their liberty for security deserve neither, and will lose both."